Yep.
Let's go ahead and move on, and let's talk some West Virginia hoops, baby. Huge win against TCU at home. We're recording this on Wednesday night. The game was last night, Tuesday, February 25th, 9 o'clock p.m. tip, so it was a late game. But, man, West Virginia came out to play, man. They won. They ended up winning by, I think, 18 points, something like that, if my memory serves me correctly. Just absolute stunning performance by Javon Small. Sincere Harris had himself a career night scoring the basketball. Yeah. What are your thoughts on West Virginia's big win over TCU?
Well, my first thought was 9 o'clock tip, and they were down 5-0 to start the game. And I thought these 9 o'clock tips, they're just not it.
Yeah.
Was it Arizona State earlier in the year was a 9 o'clock tip?
I think so.
And it was it was ugly from the beginning. So my first thought right out of the gate when it was 5-0 TCU, here we go. Just Couz, it's just kind of the same thing. It's just they just continue to fight. We've talked about it all year. This is a team that's a little depleted. I think they're tired. I think other teams are starting to kind of figure out some weaknesses. You've seen Javon Small kind of being, I don't want to use the term shut down a little bit, but defenses have put a whole lot more emphasis on him and making other people. So last night was wonderful to see. You just at this point, if you're West Virginia, you just need to win games.
Yep.
I feel that their resume is good enough. No one win is going to be that one that just continues to skyrocket you. I think it just builds it, right?
Right.
And so you're not going to all of a sudden jump to a 5 seed because you beat a TCU or maybe you beat a UCF or a Utah moving forward. But the resume is good enough to where now you're just ensuring yourself from off that bubble to they're in, and you're just kind of playing for an 8 or 9 or 10 seed. But it was just good to win. It was good to win. I had kind of tweeted that, I'm not a huge fan on the term must win, but the last couple games, especially at home, Cincinnati and TCU, if there ever was one, those were it. Because just as much as I don't think you're going to help yourself, but I do think you can hurt yourself by losing those games. And so now I think you're sitting at 17 wins. You're playing with a little bit of house money when you go to BYU late Saturday night. You want to talk about a complaint on a 9 o'clock tip? That's a 10 o'clock tip.
Wow.
So, but that's Texas Tech of last week, right? You're not going to hurt yourself if you lose on the road at BYU, but you can help yourself there. And then Utah, even though that should be a win for West Virginia, you're on the road, you're back out west, staying out west. That's a tough place to play. And then home against a UCF team that should win against at home. For me, when we go back to the early part of the season, when we talked about what's this team realistically look like, wins, losses, I just remind you, I think we both said, I don't know about 15. I think that's too low. I thought 20 was too high. So I said 17 or 18, and they're sitting at 17 wins. Now, I'm not that smart, right? They
smarter than me because I said 15.
But they won some games that I didn't think they would win. They lost some games I didn't think they would lose. So I'm not that good. But I said 17 or 18, and they sit here with 3 left at 17 wins. I think realistically, if you get to 18, you're fine, and then you get into the Big 12 tournament. Let's see what happens. I think it was a couple weeks back. I said 19 makes you comfortable, 20 makes you sleep really good at night.
Yeah,
getting into the NCAA tournament. I still feel that way a couple weeks later. So you got the potential for 3 more. It's going to be a tough 3 games. If you can get 2 out of the 3, you're at 19.
I like that. I like the odds there.
Yeah. If you get 1, you're at 18, and you're trying to get that 19th in the Big 12 tournament. That's where it gets a little nerve-wracking. But feel pretty good about this team.
Yeah, but what will help them if right now they're at, according to the graphic last night, they're sitting at 9th place in the Big 12 conference.
Yeah.
Which means they would have to play on that first day of the tournament. If they can get into the top 8 and get that bye in the first round of the Big 12 tournament, get that extra day of rest, I think for this team that would go a long way.
Yeah.
Playing 3 straight days, much easier than playing 4 straight days,
Mm-hmm.
especially for a team that has an 8-man rotation.
Yeah.
So I would really like to see them. And winning over TCU was a big deal in that because they're basically now tied with TCU with the same conference record. So
Yeah.
that was big. If they can continue to win, it should vault them ahead of TCU because I would expect TCU to lose at least one more. But it's going to be tight. They're going to be sitting right around that 8, 9, 10 seed in the Big 12 tournament. But if they can get to that 8 number, I really like I like their chances of advancing a little better with that extra day of rest. But when you look at the game against TCU, Jonathan, I mean, they shot 51.9% from the floor, 42% from 3 with 11 made 3-pointers. Free throw shooting was not that great, 8 for 11, 72.7%. They out-rebounded TCU by 1. They had 17 assists, 10 steals, 6 blocks to the TCU's 1 block. I mean, they were just everywhere, man.
Yeah.
The one
They
negative was they did turn it over 13 times, which you'd like to see them clean that up. But I mean, outside of that, man, they pretty much won the game in points. They lost the points in the paint battle, but they pretty much won the game in almost every statistical category that matters and dominated it.
They did, and I'm going to tell you where it came from. Obviously, shot the ball well, but for me, what really jumped out against TCU was just the effort defensively.
Yep.
Because it was apparent. I joked about the 5-0 start, but after that, from the tip, this team was scrappy. They played hard. They've got to be sore this morning because they dove on the floor after loose balls
Yeah.
all night long. Heck, I thought DeVries was going to get down on. I mean,
Wasn't
you
that
know,
awesome?
he is. You talk about a breath of fresh air. He's in defensive stance. How could you not play defense for the guy?
Yeah, I love it, man.
And you've got a 6'11" Andre diving on the floor. Harris clapping, the biggest smile on your face you'll ever see, enjoying playing basketball.
Yeah, I
And
love it.
it's contagious. It's contagious.
Mhm.
And I think they take on the personality of their head coach and his guys that he has brought in that match. You want to talk about somebody that's done really well in the portal, not just because West Virginia's turned it around this year, but have you ever seen a coach go out in his first year and be able to get guys that fits his style? And you can't
Signature
watch
marker.
this team. Yeah, and you can't watch this team and say they don't take on the identity of their head coach. I mean, they go hand in hand, and so that's refreshing to see, man. But they were on the ball defensively. They were active. The shots fell. The thing about this team, though, Couz, is they can get in some slumps. They can be really hot or they can be really cold.
Mhm.
I think it was a couple against Cincinnati a couple games ago. Before they went on a monster run, they had missed like 18 of 19 shots, and then they went on like a 15-2 run. I mean, I'm going to ask you how that happens. I don't know how it happens.
I don't know.
But last night they were just they were on fire and some things clicked and the hustle was there, and so it was good to see you. That's one you did not want to lose at home.
Correct.
But I completely agree with you. They're in a huge battle right now for that extra day of rest. Um, One team they're in a battle against, Kansas State, only has 7 wins, but they're playing UCF tonight. UCF is late. They're winning that game late. UCF is.
Good.
So that could take one because Kansas State beat West Virginia this year. So the
Yeah.
further you could keep them down. Another team you're competing with, Utah. You've beat them once. You get them again.
Yeah.
You've got TCU. I'm not quite sure how that would look up. I want to grab my phone here real quick. There's a website, Couz, you can go to. I don't know if you've ever been to it. It's this bball.nothing.net.
Hmm.
Have you seen this to where
I have not.
So you can go in and predict the games,
Wow.
and it will calculate seedings for you.
Okay.
And I'll send you the link, and if we want to give that to everybody, I've seen it, so I'm sure a lot of people have, and it's really neat. So you can predict games, every Big 12 game from here on out, who you think will win, who you think will lose. And you can calculate seeds. Let me tell
Awesome.
you how confusing this is.
In the NCAA tournament or the Big 12 tournament?
The Big 12 tournament.
Gotcha.
I tinkered with this today for a little bit, and I'm more confused after tinkering with it than I was before. Let me just put it to you like this: West Virginia could be a 7, they could be a 10. It's unbelievable
Yeah.
what could happen. Um,
To be a
but
7, I would say they probably have to win out, right?
yeah,
Basically.
let's put it like this: if all favorites were to win, um, it's telling me that the schedule needs to update. I guess there's a game tonight, but uh, they had them with a bye. Now that's if all
Okay.
favorites win. I'll send you the link. It's
Yeah.
interesting to look at.
Yeah, but we know in this conference that's not going to happen.
It's
So,
not, and the scenarios are off the wall.
oh, I can imagine. With
Um,
16 teams, man, I mean, I don't even know. Golly, that would probably just give me a headache. But
it's
I do want to go
confusing.
check it out, though. That's pretty cool.
It's confusing, and I've used it before for football and other basketball stuff as well, and it's accurate. So something to look at.
Okay, I'll check it out. I appreciate that. bball.nothing.net.
bball dot notnothing.net. So notnothing.net. I'll
Oh,
send a
not
link to it.
nothing.net. Oh, okay, I got you.
Notnothing.net.
Okay, cool. Cool. But yeah, just back to the game real quick. The individual performances, though, I mean, I was really impressed. Obviously, with Javon, he did his thing right. Had 23 points, 10 assists, had a double double. I I don't know if you caught the post game press conference, but he criticized himself. That's one thing I like about him, man. He's never going to get too high on himself.
Yeah.
He said I almost had a triple double with too many turnovers. He did have 6 turnovers in the game, and that's a lot for him. But
Yeah.
the fact he acknowledged that and didn't want to talk about, you know, anything else, that shows you the type of competitor he is and why he's so good, right?
Yep.
But he had 23 points, 5 rebounds, 10 assists, a steal. Great night for him. You know, who was the other player? Oh, Sincere Harris, man. We talked about him having a career night with 13 points. Also had 5 rebounds, 2 block shots, 2 steals, and
Yeah.
his on the ball defense was absolutely phenomenal. I mean, he just was all over there, all over the guy he was guarding all night long. And like you said, he was having fun out there playing defense. He loves to play defense.
Yep.
He's turning in. I saw somebody on X today, and I wish I could give him credit, but I don't remember who it was. Said he might be this year's Gabe Osaboyan. He's
Yep.
turning into this team's Gabe Osaboyan, and I thought that is a great comparison
Hmm.
because he's going to do whatever it takes to win. Whether it's defense, he's going to do the dirty work. He doesn't care, and he's going to love every minute of it. And that, back to what you said, that embodies what Darian DeVries wants in his players. That is
Yep.
the exact personality of the coach. And, you know, Eduardo Andre, you talked about him diving on the floor. He only had 4 points, but he had 2 block shots.
Yeah.
KJ Tenner, this is a player that I was defending on Twitter the other day. They were talking, or in a group chat. I don't remember where I was, but they were talking about, you know, that he wasn't very good. I'm like, you guys don't understand. He don't shoot the ball all that great. Number one, he don't shoot it a lot anyway because he's so unselfish. But his defensive presence, he was in the game for 11 minutes and had 3 steals.
Yeah.
And he gets his hands on, a lot of times he don't get steals, but he gets his hands on balls. He's poking the ball away. He has very quick hands. His hand-eye coordination is off the charts. He's able to get his hands in there and knock balls away and poke balls away from guys and just be a nuisance, right? And I just really thought he played a really good game. And then Joseph Yesufu had another big game shooting
Oh,
4 of 8 from 3, knocking
yeah.
down some huge shots,
Love it.
dealing with cramps all game, and was still able to score 14 points and pull down 6 rebounds. He's like 6 foot tall, and he pulled down 6 rebounds. Just flat out effort is all that is right there. And
Yep.
uh, so those are really the key performances of the night. I mean, it was a good team win. Amani
Yep.
Hansberry, you know, put up 9 points, 5 boards, but he had some of those boards he pulled down were really tough.
Yeah.
He was boxing his guy out, you know, was able to get up and get the rebound and with effort and putting a body on somebody. I mean,
And
just
you know,
all around good team win.
one thing about Hansberry too, Couz, is he's undersized at the
Yep.
position that he's playing.
Yeah.
So you have to give him credit. Every night he goes out there, he's playing against somebody that's a little bit bigger and a little bit stronger, and continues the battle. Um, but I got to tell you, I still think I'm bullish on this team in the NCAA tournament if they do in fact get in. I think they're a team that can win a game or two.
I am too. I
They
agree.
have, and here's why: they got one good scorer, they got one really good scorer, and they play tough physical defense, and that wins basketball games. You need the one guy at least with an identity about him that can go out and be that dog and get you points. They have that. And this team is going to fight. They're going to be scrappy. They're going to play hard. Everything you saw in that TCU game, they're going to do. Now, the hard part is going to be if you get that 8 or 9 seed and you've got to play a Houston, you've got to play a Duke, you've got to play an Auburn in the second round. Do you have the horses depth-wise to do that? But I believe even in the Big 12 and NCAA tournament, this is a basketball team that can make a serious run.
Yeah, well,
they can win games.
What do they always say about March Madness? It's all about guard play.
Yep.
I would put Javon Small against any guard in the country right now, the way he's playing.
Yep.
I mean, Jonathan, he played 39 out of 40 minutes in that game.
Yep.
Shot 8 of 16 from the floor and 6 of 11 from three.
Yep.
And yeah, he had 6 turnovers, but my gosh, he had the ball in his hands on every possession for the entire game. So just about. So, I mean, he's going to have some turnovers, but they're such a hard team to prepare for because of the way they play defense. I think that it's not like the Press Virginia where they have that same physicality to them when they're fully locked in. They're probably as good defensively as that Press Virginia team was. They just don't do it full court. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But man, when they're locked in, they are locked in, and they are hard to score on.
Yep.
Really hard to score on.
Yep.
So I agree. And defense travels, and if you play defense the way they do, they're going to be able to compete with about anybody if they're playing the way they are capable of playing. Or at least most teams anyway. Maybe not everybody, but most teams.
And I think we saw the importance last night again of Javon Small being able to score basketball.
Yep.
Again, he is unbelievably talented. But defenses, we got to give credit to the other teams too.
Yeah.
And defenses have you've started to see a shift. They've put that 6'5", 6'6", even a 6'7" guy that's long, that's athletic. They've really made a concentrated effort to take him out of the game. And not trying to sound obvious here, but we saw last night once again the importance of him being able to score the basketball. Mm-hmm. Listen, if Javon Small goes out and gets 8, 10, 11 points, it's going to be a long night for West Virginia.
Yep.
But if you can have him go out and get that 20-plus, 18 points, 20-plus points, we saw once again last night just how important his scoring of the basketball is to the success of this team.
Yep, absolutely. You nailed it. Hit the nail on the head, man. Sure did. And by the way, real quick, I don't want to spend too much time on it, but just to show you how good the defensive performance was by West Virginia, A, they held TCU to 55 total points. B, they only had one guy in double digits, and that was a bench player named Trezarian White, who had 11 points, 4 rebounds. Their next leading scorer, they had a couple guys with 9. They had Jace Posey and Brendan Wenzel had 9. I mean, that's phenomenal. Can't beat it. And they shot 39% from the floor overall as a team. So really, really good defensive performance by West Virginia. Cannot be and I want to talk about that, Darian DeVries getting so excited running out on the court and grabbing Andre after he dove on the floor. As somebody who's coached at a lower level, obviously, but who has coached, I coached girls in AAU ball, but the most excited moments for me in a game was when my players did that kind of stuff.
Yep.
It makes you so proud as a coach to know your team is bought in and are willing to do that for you and your staff and your teammates. It is that's why it made me smile, because I could kind of relate to it. Again, I've not coached at that level and never will, but coaching's coaching. Your players are buying in, they're giving it everything they've got. And at the end of the day, as a coach, that's really the most you can ask of your players.
Yeah.
They're going to miss shots. They're going to have nights where they don't play as well, but you want that kind of effort. And that is when you're the most proud of your team. And the fact that Coach DeVries shows that kind of excitement for those types of moments, to me, just solidifies he's the right guy for the job right now in Morgantown.
Yep. I completely agree. It's great. And you could see, that's what I said earlier. It's hard to believe that he was able to get those guys so early on and identify these are the guys we want for our culture.
Yep.
Because they are the identity of him. And what an excellent job for him, and kudos to the players. We talk about 9 o'clock tips. It's late. We're tired. Listen, these guys are the same way. They know it's late, and to go out and give that effort in that basketball game certainly was nice to see.
It was. And let's just hope, to close this thing out, let's just hope the football players that Coach Rod got in the portal also have the same culture buy-in and the same connection, so to speak, to the culture that Coach DeVries is. Now, it's tougher in football because there's a lot more players. I get it. But let's just hope there's at least close to the same level, because if they are, I think they could have a successful year.
They could. And Couz, I want to say this real quick too while we're on the topic. I won't take much time on it, but while we're on the topic of hoops, we're recording this on a Wednesday night. I want to give a huge shout out. We've done this a couple times, but I want to give a shout out to the women's basketball team.
Yes.
So we're recording on a Wednesday night. They just beat Utah, a 21-6 Utah team, 75-46 at home. This basketball team is 16-0 at home this year. Awesome. 16-0, ranked number 18th in the country, 12-5 in the conference. They're now 21-7. You want to talk about a coach that gets players to play hard, to play with effort. The job that Coach Kellogg has done at West Virginia since he's been here is phenomenal. I was telling you off camera, my wife and I took our family to Morgantown a couple weeks ago. We were there for the Cincinnati game. That is an unbelievable experience. These ladies deserve our attention. They play hard. They compete. And what he has done there is exceptional. It's only going to get better. I hope he stays forever. I hope DeVries stays forever. But I want to give the ladies of West Virginia basketball a compliment. 16-0 at home is unbelievable.
It is.
And 21 games, winning 21 games this year, phenomenal. Those ladies play hard. They play really hard and are fun to watch. So hopefully a lot of people are tuning in. And as we get to NCAA tournament coming up, you want to talk about a tough out? Those girls are going to be a tough out.
You saw, they gave Iowa everything they can handle last year.
Everything.
And to be honest with you, for some absolute horrendous calls in that game, they might have won.
Yep. And I know people are going to point to their road record. But just as much as the Big 12 is tough in men's basketball, it's equally as tough in women's basketball. Iowa State's good. TCU's good. Baylor's good. Kansas State is good. Utah's good. I mean, all these schools are really good in the Big 12 in women's basketball. So I didn't want to end the show without saying that.
I appreciate you doing that.
They deserve our props on that. They've had an amazing season. That entire team, those guards, they're annoying if you're playing against them. They do not leave you alone. They're in your face. We got to witness it firsthand a couple weeks ago. Really enjoyed our time up there watching them. And so kudos to the West Virginia women's basketball team and that entire staff. You guys are doing awesome.
Yep, absolutely. We're proud of those ladies, and I can't wait to watch them when March Madness starts. But thank you for doing that shout out. I actually was going to do that, but I wasn't sure where the game stood, so I appreciate you looking that up for me. Again, everybody, please check us out on X. I'm at Couz206. He's at Jonathan K. Martin. It's Jonathan without an H in the front. We're on. Also, you can interact with the show at GB Breakdown _. Like the video, please, if you're watching on YouTube. If you're listening on podcast, please hit the 5-star review. Please comment on the video as well. All that stuff helps the algorithm and helps push our content out. We hope to be back next week. I haven't looked at the basketball schedule, but we hope to be back hopefully next week. If not, we'll be back with episode 27 very soon. But we appreciate you guys and gals tuning into the show. Until the next time, hope the rest of your day's top shelf. Go Mountaineers, stay blessed, and Q Country Roads.